All right, y'all. We're back. It's been a long time, bro. When I say this is gonna be, dang, I gotta check out. It's episode 17. No, I don't gotta check out episodes. 18?
18.
Oh, wait, no, don't tell me 18. I'm like, I feel like it's gotta be 17, and I know it feels like it should be like episode 20 something because we missed like two weeks. Let me do a quick fact check, y'all. Y'all bear with us real quick. What episode are we on? Dang, bro. No, 17.
17?
Yeah,
Okay,
17.
okay.
Episode 17. Listen, I'm your boy, Stephon.
It's your boy, Jiggy.
We're back with Everything's Everything, the most diverse podcast on YouTube, the greatest conversations I feel like we're having on YouTube. I know I've been saying this for a while. I'm still working on getting us on Apple. I gotta get to it. It's been a very weird 2 weeks, but we're here for y'all again. You know what's funny? Someone said to me, they called me, said, I don't know why you call your podcast the most diverse podcast. That shit black as hell.
Yeah, because the conversations are diverse.
You know, it's two brothers up here just kicking it, having a good time. I mean, listen, we missed y'all during the holidays. We hope y'all had a great holidays. Happy New Year to everybody out there. We're praying for a year of health, prosperity, growth, goals achieved, and, you know, we're going to just ask God that he covers us and that we can do this for a whole nother year. And we started this thing late last year, and man, you guys are great. For every new subscriber, for every viewer, for every person who drops a like, for every person who comments, we thank y'all sincerely. We're starting this from the ground up, you know, organically, just trying to connect with you guys. And that's our goal for, you know, 2026 is to continue to connect with y'all, to have those fun conversations, those hard conversations, and just build a community in which we help each other grow and get through life as best we can. With that being said, we got a lot of great topics for y'all today. Some might be a little bit heavier than others, but we're going to try to handle those as best as we can with love and care. Before we get into all that, bro, how you been, bro?
I've been good, man. I've just been trying to keep everything, straightforward and just, be happy. It's a new year, you get what I'm saying? And, you want to go into the year feeling like you're going to get a couple or a few things done. Right. And start the year off right. So, listen, man, I'm focused. I'm ready, especially ready for this podcast. Oh, right. And to talk to you people about a lot of different things that we feel like we have that other people on the YouTube space may not talk about or feel scared to talk about. So we're definitely going to address them, and not just from the first level, but we're going to peel back the layers just so you guys get a better understanding of people like us, people that you can relate to, right? And how we think about things in this culture,
right? And I believe in that, bro. I believe in the everyday person. I believe in the common man and woman, bonding together and letting your voices be heard. So whether it's through podcasting, whether it's through discourse or, your socials and everything like that, like, you guys never be afraid to let your voice be heard, because your voice matters, And we're here today. I want to start by saying rest in peace to Renee Nicole Good. She was a young lady who was fatally shot by an ICE agent in Minnesota, right? I was reading an article earlier today where the FBI has pretty much taken over the investigation of the murder, and Minnesota's local police department is having trouble working with them. And usually that's how these things go about. Like, local law enforcement and, government agents will come together to solve a murder case like this. And I'm just going to read a quote from this article. This quote is going to be coming. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Let me find the gentleman's name. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz. And he says, they don't have any jurisdiction in this investigation. I think it's clear to everyone as they saw this that it feels now that Minnesota has been taken out of the investigation. It feels very, very difficult that we will get to a fair outcome. And I say that only because people in positions of power have already passed judgment, from the president to the vice president to Kristi Noem, have stood and told you things that are verifiably false, verifiably inaccurate, Walt said at a press conference. That one part of the article kind of stood out to me a lot because, unfortunately, now in media, it feels like the truth is an option. It feels that transparency is an option. We've had so many things happen in just a short amount of time in this very new year that we're in. As of right now, it's only the 8th, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen Venezuela's president get snatched up out of there,
Yeah.
brought to New York by President Trump. I mean, although there seems to be a legality conversation behind that, and like a quote unquote moral conversation behind that. But now you're seeing an instance where an ICE agent shoots a woman who they're claiming tried to run over him with a vehicle. And from all objective views, eyewitnesses, even video accounts, that's not the truth, right? To my knowledge, ICE isn't even like a group of well-trained police officers or law enforcement. They're like volunteers. You know what I'm saying? They're like volunteer deporters. And what's so crazy about this is these people have firearms. And you would think, I mean, you don't see this in regular law enforcement where the people with firearms should be practicing the greatest level of self-control, the greatest discretion in observing a situation and understanding how to react, not only timely, but thoughtfully, and not just jump to conclusions, because it can lead to life and death. And especially for minorities, you see that a lot with police brutality instances where something as small as having a hoodie, something as small as maybe you moving your hand too fast out of your pocket could lead to you being on the floor, passed away. So it scares me when the FBI is looking like they're doing somewhat of a cover-up and they're trying to control the evidence and the witnesses and the information they're allowed to share, because we as a people are never going to get that transparency that we need to even feel safe in our own country.
You know, the funny thing about it is like the transparency part, I feel like is very important in understanding the situation with like all of us. I think the crazy thing is we look at like the ICE agents as if they're police. And if they are held to the same standard as police are, when they're not, right? They follow a different code than the actual police do. So when this type of situation happens, a lot of us, we're judging them like they're cops, and they're not, right? And they go by a different set of rules. Right. Another thing too is that I heard the statement that the state made. I forgot his name. What was his name?
Tim Walz, the governor.
Yes, the governor that he made, and he wanted to really separate himself from the actual government or the ICE agents in that situation. And he wanted the people in that state to feel that, hey, listen, I'm not a part of this. You know, that was, bull crap. And that should not have been done. And he felt like, and he was saying himself that he felt like that they're trying to cover it up, and he's seen the video himself. And I feel like that was very important for the people in that city or that state. Right. Because when situations happen like that, it's an instant draw from people in the government or the state, right? Especially when decisions are made like that. And when people go through situations, normal people go through situations like that, it's hard for us to differentiate between, the state or the government. We're like, oh, it's all of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, one straight color, like it's a typecast across the board.
Correct. So I think that in that situation, as far as you can't, make up for that situation that happened, but what you can do is try to give a little vote of confidence to the people that's there, that there is somebody working to change certain situations that may happen like that. Right. And they look at this situation the same way that the people that are there look at it. So I feel like it was a good job for him to make the people that are there in that state feel like, hey, listen, I know this is bullcrap, and we're going to try to figure this out and even do an investigation on that ICE agent. Right. Do we know if it's going to fall out to it actually being done? No, because that's the thing. We're looking at them as cops, and not as actual ICE agents and actual rules that they actually go by.
Right. And that's the problem. And ICE only became about because of this current administration, right? And bro, it's really hurtful the times that we're living in, because it feels like regular everyday people aren't even safe. And when something like this happens and the leader of the nation is front and center saying, almost like saying, basically saying like she deserved it, she was trying to run him over, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, they're not even a cop, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, what are these people then? Other than, are they military? Are they police? Are they just Trump's henchmen? Or do they just exist to, you know, go out and terrorize and or deport, or what is their actual function, and how is it beneficial to the American citizen? Especially when something like this happens, like I don't know if ICE agents have to wear body cams the way police officers do.
That's true.
And to your point about the leadership with the government, the governor Tim Walz, let me do a quick fact check because I did screenshot this as well. It's not lost on me that I believe Minnesota was one of the states that Trump was pulling funds for children. It was, I think, Minnesota, Illinois, California. It was about 6 states. They're all quote unquote like Democratic states over alleged fraud for like childcare.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, well, even if there is some fraud, you mean to tell me that some fraud means all these kids got to potentially lose, you know, food from school or being able to take your child to daycare, you know what I'm saying? Whatever these funding is supposed to be for, you got to axe all that. So like now kids are suffering, you know what I mean? And
did they consider it fraud? Or is it that's what we think, or is it actual fraud?
That's what they're reporting. Here's the thing: whenever they say the word fraud, it's like never proven. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like it's like where okay, if one person was doing fraud, then why don't you just take care of that one person? Why is the entirety of everybody, you know, being punished in these states? And the fact that the FBI is in this trying to handle this case, it just smells awful. You know what I'm saying? It just reeks of corruption and control, and it makes you think like, are we gonna be living, you know, as much as they push that the United States being a free country thing, are we gonna be living in a society and in a country where, wait a minute, we're being controlled, wait a minute, we're being lied to, wait a minute, we're being police are under surveillance from the government constantly? Like those things are horrifying. And for Miss Good, who tragically lost her life, she has a family. How do they get closure? How do they actually get any type of solution or understanding to the situation? And how do they even have hope living here? Why would they want to be here? It feels like the state, or not the state necessarily, but the government just took their loved one. I don't know if she had kids. I don't know if she had you know, brothers or sisters, but she at least had a mom and dad. We know that much. They're not going to see their daughter again.
That's true.
And I'm hoping that, I don't know, if there's a GoFundMe for some type of private investigator, I don't know how you're going to get the information from the FBI.
Listen, bro, I definitely understand. As people, that situation is just definitely horrifying to see somebody get shot like that, broad daylight. And you're like, oh, this lady, there's no way she can be causing harm. You get what I'm saying? And you know, it hurts our hearts. But you know, in the same breath, you know what I mean? This world is cold, right?
Extremely.
And situations happening like that, we don't know all we know is what they've told us and what we see. And I always go down this path of, you know, logistics of the situation as far as before, during, and even after. Not just looking at at that point of the video. And I truly feel for her family. You know, but you know, there's a lot more information I feel like needs to be talked about.
Right.
Because it was two different perspectives, right? You had the governor saying, "Hey, listen, it was bullcrap," but you had was it the ICE government or the ICE agents. It was a lady.
It was
She was
ICE agents. It was Trump himself. It was JD Vance all claiming.
Well, I
that,
don't know about them. I just know that it was a lady that stated went and spoke about it, and she had said that it looked like she was trying to run the cop over. So two different narratives. That's the point of me saying that. Just two different narratives, and we don't know what point they're trying to get at. But all we know is that somebody got killed. So I do hopefully I do feel like I hope the story or the actual relevance to why that even happened comes out, because at the end of the day it's not making sense. I know one party says they have nothing to do with it, and another party says that she did something wrong. But at the end of the day, those are two stories, and all us as people is want to know that there's some transparency, like he was saying, that we can go upon our lives and live our lives and feel like, we're not going to be attacked at any time. Specifically, people who are dealing with dealing with ICE agents, or their families are not from here, or dealing with those particular situations.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that's the point. Like I said, where anytime a crime happens, it's always he said, she said, but that's the investigation. So once the investigation is being tampered with, that's like the biggest red flag. You know what I'm saying? Once people are saying, hey, certain evidence is being withheld or not shared with local police enforcement, that is big red flag. You know what I'm saying? That's like sound the alarm. That is blatant. You know what I'm saying?
And to swear our opinion, because that's why they said it instead of getting the job done. Too.
Right. But the thing is, I wouldn't say that's an opinion, because like it could actually be happening. Like, if someone on the ground in Minnesota is saying like, hey, we showed up to the scene and we couldn't, go take a look at the bullet cases. We couldn't, like, for instance, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my favorite scenes from the show The Wire is when they're, saying like, oh shit, over and over and over again, solving a murder, and you see him holding like a gun from this angle, and then they're going over to the fridge and they're putting their finger in the fridge and they see the hole left from the bullet, and then they're looking at the glass and they're like, oh, okay, so if this person's this tall there, and their angle, it's insane, right? That was one of those scenes where I'm like, yo, police officers are crazy. Like, to solve an investigation. So if you go there and you can't go through your due process, and it's like you can speak candidly and honestly saying, hey, I can't do my job because there's roadblocks ahead and this is a concern, that should be a sign to the people to say, yeah, you know what, not like I believe it should be a right to find the truth. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that right, like I said, truth is an option at this point.
Yeah, but truth doesn't sell. And we live in a world that is capitalistic, right?
Right.
Or a nation that's capitalistic, and whatever is going to sell is whatever's going to work, not whatever's the truth. Yeah. And we sometimes have to come to reality that that's what we live in.
Yeah, but hey, listen, at the end of the day, I think reality's got to be changed. That's the thing. Like, it might be a reality that we do live in. Like, you're not wrong. You know what I'm saying? But reality's got to be changed. And maybe that's just like, I got such a like rebellious spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when you look at your surrounding world and you can see an injustice, and you can see that something's not right, we as a people got to speak up and make it right. Do something to try to make it right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the only way humanity progresses. It's the only way we sit here free as black men. You know, it's the only way we sit free as black women. It's because, like, enough people looked at their surroundings in their world. They could have said, like, man, it is what it is. But enough people said, nah, let's make a change. And change came slowly and slowly. So I just feel like, especially at this point in life, we're at a point where we are making another change. And it's gonna be a slow grind out change. You know what I'm saying? Change doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't come free. So
change is only gonna happen when there's individual protests. What I mean by that is when an individual takes it upon themselves to do all the rebellious, all the things to protest individually, not as a group. That's when things are gonna change. You get what I'm saying? If I feel like the corporations, I'm working at a job, and I feel like the corporations are taking advantage of people, I would then work at that job. I would speak up about it. And if they say something about it, I would actually fight it. Right? And that's you living, that's your individual protest.
Right.
We don't have a lot of people in this world that look at it that way. They look at it where if we get a group of people and we protest or do things that way, we can get the job done. When it starts with each individual, that group, and if each individual takes it upon himself to do it that way, that group is more stronger. So, if we want change,
Yeah, it's
You live your daily life, and if you feel like it's not right, then you go ahead and you make that change within your life, and you watch the outcome, or you watch the effects of it.
Right.
And then I want them, and then anybody out there, you and whoever, I want you to tell me, once you do that individual protest, I want you to tell me how hard that is, because it's very, 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 very hard to look at a system and then be conscious of it, and then be like, oh, like me too, because I'm very rebellious myself. But how am I going to attack this problem?
Right. But it's two things, because like I said, it starts with like Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has to look in the mirror, and everybody does their part. That's the thing. If everyone
am I
does
looking at Michael Jackson?
Well, no,
I'm just joking.
not Mike. Not Mike. Well, you don't have to use him, but you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, everybody do their part, and like I said, if everyone does their part as a collective, it all shows up in the end. Speaking of a collective, I want to just take a round of applause moment for the collective that I've seen from Black men online as it pertains to the back and forth happening between Adin Ross and Doechii. Audience, if you're unfamiliar with both of these characters, allow me to give you a little bit of backstory. Doechii, I'll say she's a breakout rapper, not necessarily an up-and-coming rapper, because Doechii has been making music since like 2019, 2018, but really broke out into more mainstream status around 2024 with her, not a debut album, but I'll say like her breakout mixtape, Alligator Bites Don't Heal, right? Phenomenal project. Y'all go check out Doechii. She's amazing. She's from Tampa, Florida, a dope Florida representative. Beautiful dark-skinned sister, and I respect a lot about Doechii and her music, and you know how she presents herself. In that breakout year, there was a lot of online chatter about her being a quote-unquote industry plant. What that is like someone that the industry kind of like chose to force feed people and push in front of them, and it seemingly happened overnight. Adin Ross is a streamer who is, for all intents and purposes, a part of like the manosphere, so to speak, right? He is of Jewish descent, white kid, has some of the most ridiculous clips you can find online, has a pattern of saying racially charged things, some things as blatantly racist things, and is no stranger to controversy. Even outside of the Doechii incident a few weeks prior, this happened while we were on our little winter break. He got Puka from the Rams in trouble because he's on Adin's stream trying to come up with a touchdown celebration. How could that possibly go wrong? Who don't love a good coordinated touchdown celebration? I love the NFL, right? Adin Ross then instructs him to do an anti-Semitic gesture that the young wide receiver for the Rams is none the wiser about and gets a lot of backlash from. Like a lot. I mean, the head coach, the organization, and him all had to come up on NFL media platforms and apologize to the Jewish community. Mind you, Adin's Jewish. Why he had him do that gesture, I have no clue. So Doechii releases a new song with SZA in which she addresses the talk about her being an industry plant and discrediting all the work that she's put in throughout her career to get to this moment, right? Adin, for some reason, personalized that and took it upon himself to call this woman out her name in a variant of ways, in a lot of racially charged, a misogynistically charged manner. And what really spearheaded the pushback was one, Glasses Malone, a rapper from the West Coast, a TDE affiliate, a Kendrick Lamar affiliate, even a bit of a Young Money affiliate. He had a big single with Lil Wayne and Birdman back in about 2008. But he's a gentleman from LA, the Southern California area, and is a member of a group called the Crips, right? And which he said, Adin, you know what? We're not tolerating you for this, and this is not going to continue to happen. The attacks on Doechii and calling this black woman out her name is not going to stand, and if you don't stop, we're going to do something about it. He suggested pressing the people around him, everything like that, in which Adin egged it on because, once again, white streamer kid, the internet, real dude from the streets, two different worlds he probably don't really understand. But the heat continued to pile up and build up. And more voices continue to speak out against Adin, so much to the point that he even announced that an NBA player that he was supposed to do a stream with, he didn't name a name, canceled because their PR team said, hey, this is not a good look. I'm assuming that that NBA player is more than likely black, and it's going to look horrible sitting next to Adin Ross after all this backlash that he's been receiving. So, you know, talking about a community coming together and standing up for somebody, especially a black woman, something that we need to see more of. Not to say it doesn't happen, but to see black men collectively say, hey, enough's enough. No more of these name calling, no more calling this woman out her name, no more of this, you know, denigrating behavior towards our women. Once again, I go back to this Malcolm X quote a lot, like where he spoke about the value of a man comes or is going to be contingent upon his ability to protect his woman, and that's how we as black men have to look at black women too. Like our value has to come from our ability to protect our women, step up for our women, and defend our women, especially in times where they're being attacked, even if it's a cyber attack like Adin Ross has been doing.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I think the worst part about it, before getting to Doja being black, is as a woman, him going back and forth, with her about whatever he may feel. I think at a point Adin Ross should just called it a quits, left it as is, and allowed her to say things. He obviously he has a lot of things going for himself, and he could continue to do that. Like you said, it's great to see black men go out there and speak up for that type of specific situation. But I don't think it's his first time saying something to her. So I think the first couple times people let it slide. The first couple things he said, that's what and then I think this time specifically we spoke up because it's enough is enough. And like I said. And also, I think it's more of a thing that he does towards women, where he feels like he can speak a little bit more freely towards women in that aspect. Because he did have something saying that he says it's just to different women, no matter what. So I think there's more of the respect on women, in that specific situation. Black men, white men, because there's white men out there that have black wives. So at the end of the day, just having that pure respect, speaking up about our black women, speaking about women in any aspect, because there's a lot of things out here, or a lot of people out here that want to degrade the women and use women in different aspects that, a lot of us men would value or have daughters, mothers, and that really care about those situations. Mm-hmm. We look at those things totally different. So I really look at it from the woman perspective. I just want to, I would look at Adin and just ask him, like, how would you talk to your mom like that? I don't know if you would. So I would, ask that and just see, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's not really worth it sometimes. Just like there's certain things with men that is not worth it going back and forth with. Mm-hmm. There's just certain things with women it's not worth going back and forth with, or going, doing those things with. So I just really feel like he, take a look in the mirror and just think about it from that perspective. But that would be the most I would have to say about Adin Ross and that Doja situation.
Yeah, I'll just say this because I can't call it a back and forth when Doja hasn't engaged with Adin. Once again, the song wasn't.
Well, if he takes her antics.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not, I can't even say it's like a antics thing because like I said, the address on her song about hearing the chatter about her being a quote unquote industry plant could have applied to a myriad of people. It was Adin that took it upon himself to personalize it to himself. That bullet had no name on it, but somehow you found it hitting your heart. So up till now, we still haven't heard Doja speak about this in any context. She hasn't made any response in the video, and I'm glad that she didn't have to. I think that was powerful. The fact that Doja hasn't had to say anything, because
but they went initially back and forth. She said something, I guess, right? That's what you're saying, and he said something. Mm-mm. That's what you said. So he said something initially, then she said something, then he said something. Like, what is the format of what you're saying? How did it even start?
So, like I said from the beginning, was Doja breaks out. There's some interesting topics about chitter chat about her being an industry plant, and that's from a myriad of people. Even Joe Budden was a part of that, right? So, okay. in her new song, in her new single, once again, there is no name on it. Mm-hmm. It's just addressing the talk about her being an industry plant and how she feels that it's trying to erase the hard work that she's put in to get to that point.
Yeah,
Adin took it upon himself to personalize it.
So he feels like she's going at him.
There you go.
So that's my point, though, bro. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he feels like it's a back and forth.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like he feels like it's an engagement. She may not feel that way, so he needs to take that more
but that's
high
what I'm
road.
saying. It can't be a back and forth if he's playing tennis by himself.
But that's what he thinks.
But that's what I'm saying. His thinking is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the thing. What I'm saying, I never disagree with the fact that his thinking may be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm under the understanding, and that's his reality, and that's what he thinks. Right? That's what he thinks about the situation with her. If he thinks that, how are you going to tell somebody that thinks there's something totally different? Something. Oh yeah, no, you can't think like that about her. But bro, that's what he thinks. He thinks she's going back and forth with him. So what he needs to do is look at it like, you know what? I'm not going to go back and forth with it. I know you're saying, but she's not going back and forth with him. I know that. Absolutely true. But that's not what he thinks. So if one side thinks something and the other side doesn't think something, at a point, right? The person that's like, yo, bro, I'm not even talking to you. They're going to have to clearly say that to them. For that person not to go ahead and take it as a back and forth or take it as a altercation or something, you know what I mean? Her clearly not addressing him gives him, I guess what you're saying, like, or what we're concluding here is giving him more of a, wait, is she talking about me? Is she coming at me? But that's his problem that he has to address and look at women and be like, hey, listen, I'm not going to, if a woman says something, I'm not going to think it's me. But I don't got nothing morally to say about her because she didn't do nothing. Like you said, she sat there and rapped that song.
That's my point. It's not like I want to make sure I'm not arguing on what I think Adin should think. Like I don't care what Adin thinks, but like now that you have this big stream, and you know, mind you, this is not an audience of a few thousand people. This is not an audience of even like 100,000 people. This is like he has an audience of millions of people, and there's a reason even why, like I said, someone like a Trump would stand on Adin Ross's stream. It's because Adin Ross has a track record of saying and doing blatantly racist things. I'll give you an example. Even during this back and forth, like who did actually have a back and forth was.
So you think Trump went up there because he's racist?
I mean, he knows his audience, and he knows that Adin Ross panders to the manosphere and all that encompasses that, right? So I'll just keep that simple so we don't get too far off track. The back and forth did happen with G Malone and Adin Ross, in which when G Malone said, yo, cut it out, we're not standing for that, Adin Ross's first initial reaction was to say racially charged things like, why don't you guys go take care of your baby mamas? Like, why don't you actually take care of your kids? Because it's getting ridiculous. G Malone doesn't have kids. G Malone doesn't have a child. Why is that your initial go-to? And that's what people are standing up against. You know, solidarity is a very powerful thing. It is why you can't say certain things about certain communities because they will stand in solidarity and say, hey,
I'm confused. You just said you don't care about what Adin Ross thinks, but then of course, then he says something about the black community, and then you have a conscious thought about it.
I mean,
do you care or do you not care?
Because if you're keeping your thoughts in your head, that's one thing. If you're vocalizing them, that's a different thing. At that point, your thoughts are leading even more into actions. At that point, you're weaponizing your audience to potentially harass a young black female audience, and that is what they're speaking out against. So, like, mind you, not all threats are going to be physical. Some threats are going to be verbal. But once again, that goes back into, I'll give you an example, right? There's a Heat player that said a Jewish slur on a video game live stream. He was pushed out of there instantly. Now, no one said, oh, well, we don't care what he thinks. They're like, you can't say that. Like, at that point, you got to understand your thoughts, when they stay in your head, no one can act on them. Once you actually verbalize them, that's a different topic we're talking about. Once you verbalize things that are offensive to people, that's a different topic that we're talking about. So, like, even in this moment, what I was saying is that being able to see black men hold somebody accountable is a powerful thing. To actually step in front and say, you know what, you don't even got to say anything. Like, I'm looking at that gesture, I'm saying, I'm glad that she didn't say anything. I'm glad she didn't have to say anything. I'm glad that so many people from, whether it be like guys at the company, man, whether it be Wayno, whether it be even Joe Budden speaking up against it, whether it be G Malone, it was a very I would say not just like coordinated, because I don't think these guys all came together and talked about it in that sense, but just to see a unison is a powerful thing when it comes to this, because at the end of the day, that's also why other groups don't have this really happen, because people fear repercussions. So for us, especially as black men sending that standard, we have to come together. And I like that we came together in this instance to show that, hey, you know what, these offensive things, you can keep them in your own echo chamber, but we're not going to allow you guys to publicly disrespect us or our women on these loud platforms and think that shit's just cool.
So, my thing about it, bro, is you see how the last couple of years there's been a lot of anti-Semitic things, consciously or subconsciously, that's been done by a few black people.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard it be a thing that black people are anti-Semitic? Like, there's been like headlines or things put out there that people like. There's a thing out there that a big topic of discussion that black people are anti-Semitic and all black people are anti. Have you heard that headline or anywhere or anything like that?
No, but I'll say that's because not enough black people do that, and I think on a large part that.
All right, well, that's all I wanted to ask. My thing about it is that when we make too much of a situation a thing when it should be a problem we take care of and more try to figure out. If somebody's being anti-Semitic, they make sure that person understands why they should not be anti-Semitic, right? And you get what I'm saying? And when it comes to like our particular situation, you get what I'm saying? It seems like, yeah, we want somebody to speak up and get a better understanding of the situation. And we don't really take the time to be like, you know what? We want these people to feel why you shouldn't be racist, or we want these people to feel why you shouldn't talk about black women. You get what I'm saying? We don't use what we have or the spaces we have to make sure those problems don't happen again. And if it does happen, we sing out the individual, right? And make sure that that individual understands. I think a lot of the people that go onto his shows, you know what I mean? So for instance, Adin's, he's Jewish, right? I know that at a point, based off of the people he's tied with, he has a responsibility as a Jewish person to kind of like make sure certain things don't go too crazy in that aspect. It seems like we don't have that in certain aspects. It can go left, and then when somebody goes all the way left, we were like, oh, damn, that's too far. I'm not saying specifically him, but I'm just saying overall. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like if we want to stop people from the situation from going all the way left, you get what I'm saying? We really need to really look at situations that like Adin Ross or different people, and you want to work with black people, you want to work with these people, because that's what they do. Kind of, you want to work with Jewish people, you want to do these things, you have to go ahead and go through these things. You have to talk to the rabbi. You have to go do these things. And I feel like if we want to be held at a higher standard, we got to start making sure that our value is more secured. Our value is more looked at like we're not just going to keep giving it out, because we are valuable. But if we don't look at it more as we're going to make these people understand that they can't do this, especially if they're going to work with us, it's going to continue to happen. And then we're going to continue to do it to ourselves, because low-key, we talk about ourselves in these ways and then get mad at people for talking about us like that. It has to mentally make sense at a certain point with us in this culture where we have to hold ourselves a little bit more accountable, so things like that can be kind of stopped, or it doesn't prolong itself, or people continue to do it.
And I mean, you're right, but that's what I'm saying in this instance. This is an example of what you're talking about, is a line being drawn in the sand of like what's not acceptable. You know what I'm saying? And the unity that comes with that,
But how do you do that, right?
I mean,
when the situation happens, right? And the first thing we have Dolce, she feels like, and this is the thing about it, we don't know if she's specifically talking about him, right? So we can't necessarily say, hey, she's talking to him like that, and because we don't necessarily know that, right? Mm-hmm. All we know is that somebody here, which is him, thinks, right? Because, nobody said specifically it was by him. He thinks this is all in his mind, and we're playing into what he thinks, which he's selling us, right? Which is probably not even factual. Didn't you say something else earlier about transparency, truth?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? But we continue to be focused on somebody knowing that he's going off of what he thinks and is not the truth and what may or may not be. And he keeps selling us on it. And we give into, is he an idiot or is he not? Is he smart? Because at this point, I'm looking at it like maybe this dude is just smart because he's really going off of something that she probably didn't even. And now now you got Top Dog and them probably responding to something. Not Top Dog. I'm sorry.
That's Top Dog and all of them responded to.
Yeah, they responded to this, and it's based off of because he is like, yeah, she's talking about me. You get what I'm saying? And it's like, you're right, Steph. He got all these fans. He says this one thing. They look at it. He may drop a narrative and stuff like that. But it's like, no clear communication, no clear evidence, and it's all he say, and we give into this person's thought process. Is he selling us, or does he really feel that way? That's what I come to the conclusion of.
Nah. Let's trace it back. Remember what I just said about Puka? I can never pronounce because he has I believe Puka's. He may not be Hawaiian. He may be Samoan. Anyway,
yeah.
I'll just call him Puka, the wide receiver from the Rams, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he did that anti-Semitic gesture, and his coach, the Rams organization, and him had to apologize. Do you think any of them said, "Oh, that's just what Puka thinks"?
I don't think they cared to think that at all. If he thought that way, or not. They never cared if
they came out and publicly apologized for the anti-Semitic gesture.
Because publicly, because they don't want nothing to be perceived in that way.
So that's my point, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't allow things to happen and just to go off without any repercussion, or just to say like, oh, who cares? Just to say like, well, who cares what he thinks? And allow those echoes to just grow louder and louder and louder without any repercussion whatsoever. I'll give you another example. When Kyrie Irving just tweeted a link, and he had to go through a media shitstorm for something he didn't even say. It was a link that I can't even say I don't know if he even read the book or not, but it might have had some anti-Semitic rhetoric in the book, and they tried to take that young man unfairly through hell because of it. I think that was unjust, but no one stood there and said, well, who cares what Kyrie thinks? There was another situation of Kanye West saying something anti-Semitic. No one said, like, who cares what Kanye thinks, or allowed him to get. Kanye lost his shoe deal with Adidas. I'm pretty sure Def Jam had dropped him around that time. Kanye's business has not been the same ever since. He hasn't sold the same amount of records ever since. You haven't seen him in the public eye the same ever since. No one just cared and brushed it off and said what Kanye and said, well, who cares what Kanye thinks? They said, like, nah, that's not acceptable. You can't verbalize that. And there's something called the ADL, the anti.
They don't care what Kanye or Kyrie Irving thinks on their daily life. They care more about how they perceive it to other people.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not about what you think. It's like what you're vocalizing. Because like I said, once your thoughts are vocalized, they're no longer just thoughts. They're more actionable at that point. So like even like why something like the Anti-Defamation League exists. And that's to your point about, like you're saying, you want to see us get to a point where, we draw a line. Like, this is what that looks like, is when people stand aside and say, hey, no, that's not acceptable. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go on a public platform and say mean things about homosexuals. I would never, because I know better. But I know, like, if I did that, I wouldn't expect people to say, like, well, who cares what Steph's thing, and allow me to just say whatever I want if it's harmful or not. That's like, there's laws with this. It's defamation lawsuits. There's hate speech. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things come into conjunction. So like just to conclude it, at the end of the day, this is just a moment of us, like you said, setting that standard, setting that line. And hopefully when we're doing that and we're setting that standard and we're setting that line, we're also giving a standard on how we view ourselves, how we view our women, and how we are going to even hold each other accountable within our own community, because that was a great point that you brought up too, is that we have to mind how we watch ourselves too. We have to mind how we publicly talk about ourselves too. So at the end of the day, like I said, with this situation, it's always just about us standing in unison, standing together, and setting that precedent that, you know, the disrespect will not be tolerated.
You know why? I love these certain Black Muslims in their in certain aspects in their faith is because, you know, they that's what I'm talking about, right? In an aspect of where people take who they are seriously,
Right.
the women and the men, right? And it's just a standard. And if you was to say something in that aspect about that, the Black Muslims in that community or whatever the case is, they would make sure you understand. That's what you cannot say about this Black woman, or what you can't say about this Black man. That's where, you know, we hold ourselves accountable in those type of communities, or the type of things we have as Black people. You get what I'm saying? It's funny, not funny, but we see how those type of people, right? Muslims and those people, Black Muslims and things like that, it doesn't cross over to this situation where you don't see them kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like where it's perceived that they're kind of like making sure that people like Adin Ross don't talk about Black women, right? And I wonder, right, is the reason why? It's because it becomes hard to defend a certain for instance, like let's say you see Little Kim, and Little Kim goes out there and be like, oh, they did all this. Like it becomes hard to defend us as people when we talk about the things we talk about.
Well, I can't speak for every Muslim who I know that Wayno spoke. He's a Muslim, a Black Muslim.
Yeah.
Spoke out against it. I'm a huge Malcolm X fan. I think I've quoted him enough on this podcast for people to know the reverence I have for him. I've seen Mr. Farrakhan have speeches and talk about it. Lamont Hill is a prominent Muslim who spoke out against it and championed it. So you do have Black Muslims coming out and
no,
speaking.
I mean a community. Like let's say you see how the rabbis and the Jewish people, they're actual top people in their actual community. They come to make people understand not to say those things. Yes, we have Muslims talking about it. It's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm saying that we actually have them, which is a certain Black people that hold themselves at a certain standard, come to the forefront of the situation, not because they don't want to or another. I just wonder, I'm like, is it maybe because it's hard to defend at a certain point?
No, you know what? I think to your point, I think that's something I've been thinking for a while, is that mind you, like it's not like we're a monolith, you know, you have Black Christians, Black Muslims, Black agnostics, whatever the case may be, but I think maybe what we lack, and we've probably been lacking since like the Black Panther Party was taken out, was this leadership is a focal point, you know, is someone to hold people accountable, because other groups have that. And I think we're too disjointed. And that's once again like why I'm even championing this, is because it's a moment where it's like, oh wow, like niggas is getting together on one accord for this. You know what I mean? We don't have that same level of organization as we once did, 50s, 60s, you know, even early 70s. And there's a multiple of reasons why that is, whether it be, you know, the crack epidemic and all that came with that, whether it be the Reagan era and the 3 strikes laws that Bill Clinton, like there's a lot of systemic things that you can go to and see like where the dysfunction came from, you know what I mean? So like I feel like right now at this point, I do feel like a lot more people are becoming more socially conscious and kind of trying to get back to that root, you know what I mean? And trying to have like you said, an organized facet in which people say, hey, this is why that is not acceptable. And I admire that for I think every group of people should do that. Jewish, homosexual, Black, Native American, you name it. I think that is what community is being able to stand with each other and understand that I believe respect over love. You know what I mean? Like when people respect people's humanity is gonna go a long way than like when people try to push like the fake love narrative. Like learn how to respect groups of people and learn how to learn about groups of people and understand what they went through. Like I met 2 Holocaust survivors in my lifetime, changed my life. It's eerie, bro. It's eerie to look at a point in time and see like a connection to the past that was that horrific. I was telling you about that movie, The Commandant's Shadow, in which the son of Auschwitz had a moment of reconciliation with a survivor of the Holocaust that was at Auschwitz. I'm sorry, the son of Auschwitz. The son of the man who created Auschwitz had that reconciliation with a survivor of Auschwitz. Him and his son, which is the grandson of the man who created Auschwitz, sat in the living room and talked with this lady and had drank tea together. It brought tears to my eyes because I'm like, this man literally grew up outside that concentration camp. And what he thought was black snow was the ashes of people who were being burnt alive. You know what I'm saying? For him to be able to have that moment and, you know, say I'm sorry to a survivor, that, I mean, was one of the most powerful things I've seen in a long time. And that's when you come to understand of like, when you study history and you get the context in which people come from, if you study the history and you get the context in which what happened in Africa, the transatlantic slave trade and everything that came with it, it gives you a broader perspective. It will humanize you. And if you have a soul, maybe some people don't have that same, you know what I'm saying?
I love that story, the Holocaust story that you just said there. And I feel like, just to go off that point, I feel like that's what I'm trying to get to as far as like people, or, you know, people understanding, like, you have to understand people's situation to give, and that's and for even people to understand your point of why you may feel a certain way about what Adin Ross is even saying, right? Because you've done your research, or you've done your work to talk to people, or even research things that may give you more of an insight about things you may not know about, where you may not say things about certain people or look at things a certain way, and that's the point I'm trying to get to.
Right.
The same way you've came to your understanding to value certain people with different perspectives and aspects, that's the same thing that, you know what I mean, I feel like he may want to just look at, like, and think about it, like, listen, at the end of the day, we may be saying this, and I'm being 100% honest with you people, it sounds good and all that, but I'm pretty sure they don't want to hear that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? They're like, listen, I got money. I could, in his mind, I don't think he can. I'm not saying this can happen, but he's probably like, I could buy her situation. I could do this. And, you know, they feel like type of confidence rules in certain, mixed with other things in certain situations. And it's hard to tell certain people things. So at the end of the day,
yeah, like I said, not everyone's gonna be changed, but like I said, it comes with education. That's why even we've had a lot of anti-intellectual conversations on here. You know, it's why I feel like the school systems fail black people. You cannot send your kid to school and expect them to learn about their history. As a parent, you have to actively teach them about their history yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because when they're going to school, they're not going to learn about this stuff.
All the history is, you a black or white kid, all the none of the white history is true too? No.
I mean, like I said,
his story.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But it's gonna be told in a way that's gonna be leaning towards one side, and not. And it's never gonna be yours. Like I always bring up. Like I remember, like I said, I'm a huge Malcolm X fan. I remember going to, you know, it's Black History Month, and you're supposed to be learning about Malcolm X, and he got like 3 sentences in an entire history book. It's like how?
So you tell me, how was it supposed to be documented, right? In the history books, slavery, or not even slavery, all the stuff that we went through, where it would not. So, for instance, like the civil rights movement, and everything that they went through, we stood up for everything that the black people that were involved, the great things that they did, that voter confidence that brought us to a different level, right?
Right.
That's great, right? More of those stories need to be heard so that perception of that time can be changed, right? But bro, how do you in the history books, it doesn't say anything great about like anybody. I think that the person who's the evil is bad, and I think that the way they make black people look is bad. I feel like if you grew up as a white person, you've seen this history, I don't know how you would have a vote of confidence that you feel better than somebody knowing that of what you did, right? And then the black people, it draws into the confidence. Growing up, some black people, our hair, our noses, you get what I'm saying, our skin tone. and those things, and that's what the history books played a part into how we think
Well,
psychologically about ourselves. I think psychologically it gave white people more of a complex of them feeling like they're a superior complex. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what we do. You get what I'm saying? History is never told. That type of history is never really told the truth about people in this country.
Yeah, no, it's not. But in the world in general, like I said, I mean, it's like my thing about history is like it is told by the victor, unfortunately, right?
Right, of course.
And we're living in the victor's frame, the mind frame system, and everything else in between,
That's
right?
so true, yeah.
So that's my point, where it's like one side's gonna be lenient because at the end of the day, you don't even like psychologically, you don't have to look far. Look at your dollar bill. Look at your $20 bill. Go look up Frederick Jackson. How he Frederick Jackson is a mass murderer, but you don't say, you just fucking $20 bill, nigga. I got a dub. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. You know what I mean? They're not gonna teach that in the history books. You just celebrate it. I mean, there's thousands of statues throughout the South and memorials with Confederate leaders who are racist bigots who have once again slaughtered a lot of people, and they're just statues, and it's like, this is our great heroes. So it's all, like I said, like you said, it is a complex. It's a superiority complex, but the problem is, I mean, the school system in general has so many flaws, but the teaching of history is just one of many. You know what I'm saying? And we maybe don't have deep enough curriculums to get into the nitty gritty, but I mean, the nation don't desire that. They're already working on cutting a lot of funding to schools in general. Like the Department of Education is abolished, so that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. But I would just say this, like my main point. Once again, it starts with us, right?
Yeah.
I'm just bringing this back to us to close out the topic. It starts with us. How we talk about ourselves, how we defend ourselves, how we represent ourselves. So we just got to set that standard, continue to set that bar, to continue to our next one. We didn't get to talk to y'all about the New Year's. You know what I'm saying? We didn't get a chance to count down with the people. Jiggy had a very interesting topic about New Year's cliches, and you hear a lot of them. Especially about the gym. Gym be kind of packed during the New Year's. Is there a cliche that you actually like that you kind of adopt into the new year and hold on to, or do you feel like,
Well, specifically speaking about like New Year cliches, man, I think that a lot of us, we go into these New Year's just with the same typical thought process: eating better, working out. You know what? I'm gonna get that car this year. I'm gonna save this amount of money and all that stuff. And to the point that certain stuff doesn't get done, and it just becomes a cliche of just saying it. You know what I mean? So I just have a funny story. You know what I'm saying?
right?
This year, well, not a funny story, but just my experience going through this New Year's. This New Year's, I went to sleep, bro.
Same.
You
Did
get
the same thing.
I went to sleep knowing that I was in one year, and then I woke up in another year, and I was happy that I survived one year and got to the other one.
Shit, I'm happy. I'm happy to survive here too, bro.
So I thought about it too. I didn't even have the thought. I didn't even think in my mind to be like, you know what, I'm gonna work out harder this year. I'm gonna do all this. Like I would usually think about every year. And the reason I think about it, I'm like, yeah, if you don't try to put some goals on the wall for the new year, then come on, you're doing yourself a disjustice. I looked at this year. I said, I want to wake up and be happy.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just feel like that was a big difference for me, because usually I want to do something. I want to have these goals. I want to go out before then. I want to make sure I can get, I guess it's a mental way of getting rid of the next year and going into the new year.
Right.
And, if you don't change now, you ain't going to never change. I don't care what year. I don't care what time, what frame it is. If you don't make that change June 2nd, February 3rd, July 3rd, whatever random day it is, it's never going to change. Consistency is based off of when you actually want to make that change, you continue on it. No new year, like my thought process on it was like, I'm just not going to be sold on this new year, new anything.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Because now now because all it does is bring procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wait.
I agree.
It makes you think that there's this whole, and you're just getting older.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, my basis on it, and it wasn't really a story, but just my
Thought
I
process.
succumbed to this. Yeah, I succumbed to this actual thought, and I was just like, you know what? It starts now. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't start New Year. It doesn't start this year. No, it starts now. And I'm not trying to get rid of the whole celebration process and the being happy about the new year. But damn, I do feel like it's just taking away time away from my life, and just putting it in order like a storybook, which leaves me with less control. You know what I mean? If I want more control, I just felt like I just was like, you know what? I don't care about setting it. I'm gonna do it today.
Right.
I'm gonna do this and do that and do this. As far as going into the New Year's, how did you feel about certain things that you want to do differently or going into New Year's?
Man, bro, this is probably the most excited I've been going into a new year, because although last year was rough in a lot of ways, it was a lot of progress made. Like, I'm so thankful that you're here with me. I'm so thankful for that we're able to come in here once a week and do this. You know what I mean? This is like really like therapeutic to me. There's a lot of things that kind of sit heavy on my heart and my mind. So having a artistic way to vocalize and express those things mean a lot. I love what you're saying, because like you're saying, the consistency allows you just to stack days, stack minutes, stack hours, stack the moments. You know what I mean? And you build that, and then you can look back and see like, wow, look where I came.
Compound interest.
Compound interest. I like that. Compound interest 2026.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll think back even to years like, I remember just trying to build everything we need for this pod. I remember feeling like progress wasn't being made fast enough, or if any progress wasn't made at all, whether it's buying this piece of equipment, that piece of equipment, this quality camera, that quality camera. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, we need this little memory card, we need this little mic, we need this, all those things that it took for us to get here. I remember you were on me about this too, man. I remember just saying like, if you're gonna do this thing, this is your idea, go do it. Like, I'm gonna like follow your lead and how you go about putting the effort into getting this done. And that motivated me like more than you'll ever know, bro, to be like, you're right. Like, maybe I might have to wait for certain things to kind of come through, especially like on the financial. It's expensive starting a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Saving up to get this, getting the money to get that. It's an investment in your money and your time and your thought process. And looking back and being able to say like, oh, I did that last year. Like those 2 years of like 2023, 2024, building up into 2025. And then us being able to do it on Kobe's birthday, our first episode, was like poetic. Bringing it back, like Kobe's one of those people who just stat days. He created a lifestyle. So as long as he had breath in his lungs, his lifestyle wasn't dictated on the new year, but just on continuously trying to get better. It's a marathon. Like people like Kobe, people like Nipsey, people even like a Young Dolph are so much like consistent minded, and very much goal driven, and not just seeing things as like a sprint and trying to get there quick. So going into this year, bro, it's to be thankful. I just want to see health and prosperity for the people that I'm close with, for my loved ones. I really pray over the people who I'm close with. I pray over a lot of things, you know what I'm saying? But like, those are some of the small nuances that, I look forward to, especially like, wanting to see my mom continue to age well, wanting to see, my brothers and my sisters do well, wanting to see, things happen to, like happen with your significant other to go well, you know what I'm saying? All those things just to continue to grow and manifest. But I like having the mentality of just like, stacking your chips, man. Just keep your head down to the ground, look up every now and then, smell the flowers. Because sometimes when we're being consistent, like I know I've done this before, you run yourself into the dirt. And you got to take that time to really maintain yourself. But speaking of stories, just real quick, as a little story to a callback, I told a story about a raccoon being a pet. Tell me why I started seeing domestic raccoon videos pop up on my timeline.
Yeah, they listening to you.
They're listening.
Mm-hmm. Domestic raccoon.
I did not know this was a thing. This is a trend. Pardon me, I wasn't familiar with your games. Raccoons, I wasn't familiar with your games. Speaking of other games in this new year, there's been some changes. There's been a lot of changes happening. Dolphins fired their coach. Mike McDaniels, we thank you for your service, bro. Gots to go. We fired the GM earlier in this season. Got rid of Mike Daniel. Tua, hope all the best for you, buddy. We thank you for your services. Had some good moments. Had some not good moments. But I still think Tua has a promising career. Bro, you made the bad, bro. You done made it in life, buddy. But you might have to make that in another city now. So in 2026, as we're talking about new things, I'm not going to say new year, new me. New year, new Dolphins, though. you feel what I'm saying, bro? New year, new Dolphins, though. A lot has to happen. We're interviewing some interesting coaching candidates out there. And I'm just going to hope for the best. That's what I will say. I'm going to hope for the best in 2026 for the Dolphins, that we can get it on track. Because look, the Patriots turned it around. The Denver Broncos turned it around. There's a few instances throughout football history where you get the head coach right, you get the quarterback right, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm gonna give a shout out to the U as we record this. The U should be. I haven't checked the score yet. Should I check the score in the UM game right now?
Check the score.
Let's check the score in the UM game. Because I'm a Florida State fan, but I ain't no hater. Yeah, it's the second quarter. They're up 17-10 on Ole Miss. I want to shout out to the U. I think they're the best team left in college football. I'm not a hater. I think you guys are going to win a national championship.
That's big coming from you.
Listen, last year when we started this pod, I called y'all the University of Coral Gables. My bad. Y'all earned that University of Miami respect. Thank you for representing not just Miami, but all of Florida in the college football playoffs very, very well. And I just want to show that I can be objective. I'm not biased. I can shout out to you while still love my Seminoles. Like I've always said this, bro. I just want the U to lose one game every year. Just lose to the Florida State Seminoles every year. Y'all can do me that, man. Y'all can do me that favor. And, I'll even give a shout out to the Knicks, who I think, they're looking like they might having a nice 2026. They're changing some things. Some new things happening, man. Listen, that's the best part about the new year. You just take a deep breath. A lot of new.
It's a very tough, not a tough space. We're in a very great place because before it was definitely in a tough space. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes difficult to speak about the team for me because I want them to win. I want them to win by any means. Mm-hmm. So as long as they can figure it out, they can win the championship this year. And I stated it and I said it and I'll say it again. Mm-hmm. But that's all. I just feel like the Knicks, if they have to make moves, they can make moves. If they have to keep people, they keep people. But the championship's are going to be won this year by the New York Knicks.
Hey, I'm not mad at that. I think they got it, bro. It's like we've been saying all year. It's wide open East of the conferences you can ask for. And I'll just say one last quick thing. I saw the Timberwolves play the Heat live, man. Ant Edwards, bro.
Yeah.
Dog. But that Minnesota team, dogs. I mean, the West is just such a gauntlet. I don't know if they have enough, but I feel like if they play like their perfect game, they have a shot against anybody. But man, this is a great episode. Is there anything left you have to say to the people? Anything else on your heart and mind? Did we go over all the talks we talked about the New Year? Talked about New Year cliches. I'll say we're working on new content pieces as well. That's gonna help you get to know us individually, on a more like individual basis, and to hear our thoughts. And there'll be shorter pieces, not necessarily like full pod episodes, but more so like little think pieces. I don't know. Maybe these videos might be somewhere between 5 to maybe even 10 minutes long. Where we're trying to connect with you guys. Like that's one of our big things in the new year. Jiggy's been doing a great job. We uploaded one of our first animated story episodes. We're looking to be creative with that, giving you guys different visuals to share with your friends and families. So we're gonna be continue to get in our creative bag, continue to see how we can grow in our production quality and everything else like that in between. And once again, we hope that we bring something of value to you. We hope that this is like something positive in your life and the people you share it with lives. We encourage everybody, please like, comment, subscribe, because that helps us so much. Like them YouTube algorithms is tough, but we doing it. You know what I'm saying? And y'all have been supporting. Y'all been great. Like I love our viewership. I love to see like when people interact on the Instagram page. I mean, we're working on TikTok. I don't think TikTok likes us because we're not doing dances. Like I don't know if I got to do a little like shoulder shake, like a Harlem shake. Did you know how to Harlem shake when you was a kid? I can't dance.
Yeah,
but did you know how to?
Of course.
All right. I can never even down here. We had like jugging and bopping and I can do a little juke, a little Wu-Tang back in the day. But overall, I'll be honest with y'all, I've never really been the best dancer like that. It's not. It wasn't a gift God gave me.
Yeah,
I just yap, run my mouth.
Hey man, listen, but you guys, we definitely we definitely want to show you guys, if you guys are listening out there, like he was saying before, you're gonna try to get it with audio where you guys can listen to it if you guys are on the road. And then we want to also, break into, like he was saying, just getting some shorts, but also getting you guys to visualize some of the stories that we're saying. Because we just want to make it as simple as possible for you guys to understand and relate to us. Because at the end of the day, we're all the same, and we just want everybody to understand that we're here to speak from a perspective that they may not hear. So that's all it is. That's
it. Bringing different perspectives together so that we can unify like that, come together. That's what it's all about. But this has been Everything's Everything, episode 17. And please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.